Hello everyone, we are doing things a bit different here today. Originally this was going to be recorded live and unscripted, but unfortunately I was quickly humbled by just how noisy my house is. So instead, while scripted, this will mainly just be less edited and more chill. Today we are pulling for and testing out Kinich. I've spent the days leading up to his banner just speedrunning exploration in that land to get primos and materials for him. I've gotten just enough to fully level him to 90, his weapon to 90, and mostly level his talents. Unfortunately, I neglect Arlecchino's Trout's domain because it's hard and I'm a weenie.
Listen, kid, I think you'd be more comfortable over at that place.
Weenie Hut Juniors!
Oh no, sorry. I was actually pointing to the place next to it.
Super Weenie Hut Juniors!
Yeah.
Oops. I've also got pretty decent artifacts ready for him. Not perfect, but I can work on that in the future. In terms of teams, I lost my 50-50 on Emily and Farina, so I don't really have any of the most ideal characters for his teams. I also chronically neglect building characters, so I'll be doing some testing with characters I do have built. As for building other characters, well, maybe in a future video. Also, a side note, my throat was not cooperating for this recording, so I tried some of that spray they sell, not the kinky stuff, the actual medicine one. And not only is it the worst taste I've ever suffered, but now my tongue is numb too. So, this should go well. This video will also be a Q&A. After I hit 10K, which I will touch upon later in the video, I asked my community tab for questions that I could answer. I know I said Mualani's video would come out first, but unfortunately I pulled an Icarus and flew, well, surfed, too close to the sun. I quite literally cannot think of any jokes to explain the Mondstadt and Liyue Archon quests again that I haven't already said in my other videos. Ironically, I've had better luck coming up with a script outline for a Kinich solo, so maybe that'll come out soon.
Malipo Kinich. I don't believe we've met. If you'd like to request my services, please brief me on the job and state what you're willing to pay.
That's your pitch? Ugh, come on, man, you're killing me! You're supposed to tell them what a pro you are, play up your past experience, set their expectations high, and then you say, and that's why I charge a higher price than most. Don't you know anything about doing business? How did the almighty Dragon Lord Gohula end up stuck in a contract with such a clueless moron? Oh, the humiliation.
I have already pulled this 2 other times. My Raiden Shogun is about to have C3 or R3 of her weapon. That's crazy. I wonder where all those primos came from. Guess we'll just have to use them. Yay! Finally! Before I get into the Q&A, I have exciting news. I've officially opened channel membership. Want this cute little badge next to your name when you comment, or access to any of these emotes? And to support my channel in the process, become a member. I only have 2 tiers right now, and if anything, I'd probably just add on perks to those tiers going forward. With the Sprout membership tier, get access to emojis, priority or comment replies, help me pick my challenges, and more. Want me to prioritize uploading a certain challenge next? Or maybe you want behind the scenes B-roll cuts of the challenges. All those, plus shoutouts at the end of my videos. Now, maybe you want to support me a little more? Well, first of all, you definitely don't have to, but if you want first access to my videos, the Blossom membership tier offers that on top of all the previous perks. Like I said, the perks are just starter benefits. I plan to add more to both tiers in the future. Alright, after that fun shameless plug, let's get back into the questions. While I answer the questions, I'll be doing a run of the Imaginum Theater. I know most people will do Spiral Abyss runs during chatting videos like this, but I can't emotionally handle battling the mob of little Saurians on floor 9 again. The Primo Gems were not worth it. There were a bunch of questions related to challenges and my channel itself, so let's start there. Starting with if I still enjoy playing Genshin, the short answer is yes. Honestly, I was struggling with not wanting to play much anymore, but also not wanting to give up on an account I spent so much time and money on building. And yet, after doing these challenges, I've really gotten a new joy in playing on even my main account, especially getting to replay the old Archon quests and seeing the things in the context of information we know now. It's fun seeing little hints and Easter eggs that have been sprinkled in all this time. Now, before I talk about future plans, I've gotten a bunch of comments worrying about me burning out, and while I very much appreciate the concern, please don't be worried. Truthfully, I felt burnout for Genshin for a long time, but doing these challenges ignited a joy for the game again, and also encouraged me to log into my main account more often. I went from being AR 56 for probably 2 years, to already being decently far along in AR 57. Additionally, with my videos, I'm not speedrunning these challenges by any means. I very recently started Sumeru on my Arlecchino account, so I'm just trying to go at a comfortable pace. In terms of future plans, I have a pretty hefty list of ideas for videos, primarily solo challenges, that I'd like to do in the future. I also currently have Emily, Yelan, and Mualani on solo accounts, and I plan to get Kinich for a solo run once the anniversary rewards are distributed. I have Linny on his own account as well, but I have a different video plan for that. Beyond that, I have some goofy challenge ideas for Genshin that will happen eventually. They require a bit more editing and a lot more dedication, so I don't know when I'll post those videos truthfully. But Archons only? I like the sound of that. I guess we'll see. Non-Genshin related future plans, I want to eventually do videos on Honkai Star Rail and maybe other games like Zenless Zone Zero and Wuthering Waves. I'd also eventually like to branch into other non-gacha game content, but that's probably at least a year down the line. What is the reason you started playing Genshin? What vaguely made you want to play Genshin? Also, can you show us your main account? I touched upon this briefly in one of my videos, but I started playing Genshin for Kuching. I saw Poki streaming Genshin after Zhao came out, and she was primarily using Kuching. I instantly loved Kuching's design and finally decided to download Genshin. As for my main account, I plan on making videos in the future specifically for my main account, which will eventually show off the account better. What inspired you to start a YouTube channel? Honestly, I've wanted to be a content creator for as long as I can remember, even before YouTube or the concept of YouTube was mainstream. I have super old home videos filming my webkins like I was producing a TV show for them. However, I was always really shy and went through a really long period of being uncomfortable with my voice. During the COVID lockdown, I discovered HoloLive, specifically HoloMyth, and was introduced to VTubing. The idea of VTubing filled the concerns that I had with becoming a content creator, and thus down the rabbit hole I fell. Why did you make Genshin Impact content? Honestly, it's just as simple as that I like watching Genshin Impact content, and I really enjoy playing Genshin Impact. I figured if I combined things I enjoy, video editing and Genshin Impact, it would reflect in the video's quality too. On that same note, what led you to uploading your first Arlecchino video? I briefly touched on it in the first episode, but I had gotten really into watching different solo run challenges, and I thought it seemed really fun. I had been struggling with burnout from Genshin and hadn't really played outside of keeping up with the Archon quests. Initially, I was going to dip my toes in with Genshin videos and do a video seeing what I could get with 100 reroll accounts. I ended up with a solo Arlecchino and a solo Linny, which, like I said, will eventually be used for a not solo run challenge. So I decided to just see where it took me. How do you make so many accounts? There's a bit of a workaround I've utilized with Gmail that allows adding a period after a letter to be recognized as a new email but sent to the same inbox. I made a separate dedicated email just for re-rolling and just did that. The re-rolling also occurred over the course of several weeks because sometimes you just end up with the too many requests and have to wait it out or reinstall the game. Did you ever believe that you would get to this point in the span of a few months? So, as I mentioned earlier and referenced by this question, I hit 10,000 subscribers. This milestone is absolutely insane to me, especially considering it took only a little over 2 months and 3 videos to get here. I never in my wildest dreams expected getting to this point so soon. I knew going in that gaming videos, especially Genshin related, is a very difficult creation category to break into since it's so popular on YouTube. Yet despite that, not only was I able to join YouTube's partner program, but I got accepted into Hoyo Creators too. I just cannot thank you all enough. I've admittedly ended up with a bit of imposter syndrome because of this, because so many creators take years to reach this milestone, but as long as I'm able to continue making content that people enjoy, I'll be happy regardless of the subscriber count. Which server are you on, and will you ever do a Welkian Genesis Crystal giveaway? Actually, in honor of 10,000 subscribers, I'm doing a giveaway. I want to specifically give back to people who watch my videos and have supported me all this time, so I'm giving away a Welkin Moon. To enter, comment anything you would like, but be sure to include the following emotes in your comment: the fox and the wilting flower. Get it for going on my head. As long as your comment includes that, it'll be entered. I'll randomly choose a winner in 2 weeks from the date of this uploading and post the winner on my community tab. As for the first half of that question, I play on the North America server. When did you make your OC? Going to commission her VTuber model if you ever decide to start streaming? My OC, the Wren that you see, kind of came about as a way to show my own appearance from my homeworld combined with the appearance of my host body. Initially, it had more of a Ren Fair style. Get it? Ren Fair. But after struggling to find a color scheme I liked, I decided to scrap it and try again. And the Wren you know today was born. It took a long process actually, probably around a year to be honest. In terms of VTubing, I'd really like to in the future, and that's definitely a long-term possibility. However, not only is it incredibly expensive, validly so with how much goes into VTuber art and rigging, but I'd like to work with artists who I really feel can best bring this Wren to life. That said, I would probably only use a VTuber model with streaming, and until I can figure out noise and, well, not being awkward, I will probably stick to primarily long-form YouTube content. If you're stuck here from another world, how long have you been here? To me, it hasn't been all that long. For long-life species, years pass in the same way that weeks or months pass to humans in this world. However, I've been in this host body since it was a human child, so I'd say maybe 20 human years or so. I should probably start figuring out how to get back home because I'm not really sure what will happen to me if something happens to this host body. I'll be honest, she's physically really fragile. Even among her human friends, none of them get sick nearly this much. What is your favorite flower? In my homeworld, the flowers that appear on us actually are connected to our birthday. Mine, being December 27th, was a plum blossom. I don't know if it was just exposure bias, but it ended up becoming my favorite flower. Everyone always mistakes it for cherry blossoms, but one day I'll make sure plum blossoms get just as much love as cherry blossoms. Where are you from? Well, my homeworld was called... So technically that's where I'm from, but right now in this world, I live in America. How old are you? In my homeworld, I fell into the category of a long life species. As such, we really didn't focus on exact ages, just approximations. As the time of me arriving here, I was already well over 300 years old, which, for reference, isn't that old. What is your favorite food? Truthfully, this can vary depending on my mood, but probably one of the best things I've ever eaten is called bongapang. It's the Korean version of taiyaki, a pastry shaped like a fish. It had a custard or cream filling, and it's just so perfect to eat when it's cold outside. Otherwise, if I had to pick one, maybe a tie between ramen, the real stuff, not instant, or bibimbap. I guess I'm very much a comfort food enjoyer. Do you like 13 Reasons Why? So this is in reference to a joke I made in my first Arlecchino video, and a short answer is not particularly. I read the book when I was in, I think, middle school, and so I was interested in the series when it became a TV show, but I ended up not finishing it because I just didn't enjoy it in TV form. I have heard it was pretty messed up, which also didn't exactly encourage me to watch it either. What's your top 5s? Music, TV shows, etc. I'll rapid fire this one. Top 5 music, in no particular order: Noah Kahan, Hozier, Sabrina Carpenter, Taylor Swift, and Hatsune Miku. Yes, I know, that's very basic. Leave me alone. Top 5 TV. I primarily watch anime, so I'll do a top 5 of that, but a bonus for one of the only live action shows I actually keep up with, which is called 911. Top 5 anime and manga, because usually my top ones are ones that I actually enjoy the manga as well as the anime. My dress-up darling, Jujutsu Kaisen, RIP, Frieren, Demon Slayer, and Kaiju number 8. If you were to have a vision since you play Genshin, which would you have and why? And what nation would you be from? I'm sure you're all thinking, oh, your whole thing is flowers, so Dendro, right? Wrong. It would be Animo. I have thought very long about this. I cannot elaborate, but take my word for it. If anyone's watched Bleach, my ultimate would essentially be a Genshin version of Byakuya's Senbonzakura. If you haven't watched Bleach, think of like a flower petal Kazuha, but pink and more DPS. I'd also scale on HP because I think DPS characters that scale on HP are just the best. In terms of nation, that's a good question, honestly. I had a Genshin OC, because I'm that kind of person, whose family was working for the Vitui in Liyue, so she grew up in Liyue but was from Snezhnaya, and then went to Sumeru to study at the academia. Just call me Miss Worldwide. What was your worst wishing experience? I wouldn't say it was one specific time, more like a continuous experience. Whenever I either lose the 50-50 or get a 5-star on standard banner, I regularly end up with Skyward Pride. I have an obscene amount of them. Specifically, 5. I have gotten Skyward Pride more times than I have gotten Jean, Dia, and Tainari combined. Who's your favorite Genshin Impact character and why? Skymish. But hear me out. I really resonate with his lore and backstory of longing for acceptance and belonging, and constantly being rejected and betrayed by those he trusts. I mean, I didn't become a killer, but to each their own, I guess. Even his story of becoming Wanderer and finding out he can't run from or escape his past, but instead finding people willing to accept him despite it. I just love the depth of his story. That all said, I also really adore Kinich. He's quickly become a very close second for my favorite. What does that say about me? Moving on. What is your favorite region so far in Genshin? Honestly, it's a split between Nutland and Inazuma for me. I really just love the bright colors and general design of the nations, and it really didn't feel like a hassle to explore the regions. What was the dumbest thing you did in Genshin while you were new? So I started playing Genshin Impact at the end of 1.3, right in the middle of Hu Tao's first banner. At the time, everyone online was talking about Hu Tao being the best DPS and a must pull. And at the time, there were also a bunch of free wishes and Primo Gems as a result of Lantern Rite. So, thinking that we got that many freebies regularly, I ended up pulling C2 Hu Tao. Unfortunately, I had no idea how to build characters, something I didn't actually properly learn until probably AR50. So I couldn't really utilize Hu Tao properly, and as such, she was very quickly benched. This also started the second dumbest thing I did, which was believing I needed to get every single character. That evolved into needing every character and their weapon. At some point, I did realize this was not sustainable though, mostly because I ended up with characters and their weapons wildly underleveled and just sitting on the bench. Live and learn, I guess. Half elf, half fox, but do you have that dog in you? You already know. And for the last question, when is Gaming Impact? Don't you worry, Gaming Impact will be here before the year ends. Mark my words. And with that, we finished the hard mode of the Imaginum Theater. I would do Visionary mode, but I don't have enough characters leveled up for that. Maybe one day. I hope everyone enjoyed the video and feel they got to know me a bit better now. I enjoyed this quite a bit. I also had a lot of fun trying out Kinich. As of uploading this video, this is the build I have running on Kinich. I'm still working on him with a goal of getting a bit higher of a crit rate and a higher crit damage if I can manage it. He sits right now around the top 25%, but I'd like to get him in the top 10% if possible. Maybe even the top 1%. Thank you all again so much for 10,000 subscribers. I'm so excited to continue growing this channel. Let me know your thoughts on this style of video, as well as any additional membership perks you would like to see. And of course, don't forget to enter the giveaway. Until next time!